The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
All right, everyone, I would like to welcome you back to another KevCAM night class tonight. Tonight have Greg Payton, as usual, helping out, even though he's in Texas right now, but he is with us. Greg, are you there?
Good evening, everyone. Good evening.
And so I do see a couple new names in here. So what I'll do is I'll kind of go over the housekeeping skills or housekeeping stuff with the GoToWebinar. So everybody is in mute just to eliminate any background noise. But if you guys do have questions, there is a questions pane, and I'll have to have Greg keep an eye on that for me tonight, and we'll get your questions answered right away. These night classes are just solely dedicated for you guys for training, so definitely feel free to ask as many questions as you guys come across. And as well is, if you guys do have suggestions going forward, send those over to me via email, and I'll put my email address in the chat for everyone, and we'll get those implemented in right away, and then we'll also send you some SolidCAM swag as a thank you for your help. So, these next couple classes, we are going to be doing what you guys have suggested. So tonight's class is kind of how to make your programming experience easier with SolidCAM and different programming styles, different tips, different things that myself and Greg have seen you guys struggle a little bit through on the tech support line when you guys call in. So just kind of want to cover that and try to, like I said, make your programming experience much easier and faster for you guys. So with that being said, we'll get the ball rolling here. So first thing I want to kind of cover tonight is the tool change position. Now this is one that a lot of people overlook, but like I said before, I don't want you guys silently suffering and having to manually add Gcode in there. So for this particular operation right here, what we do is, it opens up. If you go to your tool tab right here, and then you guys can go to the tool change position, you guys can actually set up 3 different line commands in there to do a tool change. So let's say you guys have a very large part, large fixture, maybe a 4th axis in the way, and you need to move that table in a specific direction. You guys can come in here and manually just type where you want the tool changer to go. And like I said, you get 3 lines of code or 3 different movements in here. So you can just do an X movement first for your Y movement for your second, and then for the last movement, you could set up your Z, or you can do it all in one. So it's going to kind of do a diagonal move. So that option is there for you guys, and a lot of times this does get overlooked, and we'll see customers insert just their own Gcode, just hand typing in there. And like I said, we want to eliminate that as much as possible, just in case we get a little fat finger happy there. Okay, so that is one. Now, since we're kind of going along the lines of inserting Gcode into a program, what you guys can do is, let's say you guys have set up, maybe after a part is halfway done running, you want the spindle to go up in Z, and you want the table to come towards you and do an M00. So what you guys can do is you guys can actually insert Gcode into your list right here. So what I'll do is, I'll just open this operation back up, and I'll show you guys a little bit example of this. So we'll just do a Gcode. All right, so let's say I just want to do kind of a cancellation line right here. And like I said, this is just for, let's see, we'll do cut, and then we'll do all, delete, paste. Okay, so there's just my single line of code maybe I want to have in there. You know, we can put table movements, whatever you guys would like. So I can come up here, and I'm just going to save this out onto my desktop. So we'll just say desktop, and we'll just say insert code, and throw it on the desktop. So now, as I'm programming, like I said before, instead of you guys having to hand edit the Gcode, what I can do now is come in here and do a file, insert file, go to my desktop and insert code, hit open, and you'll see it automatically inserts a piece of Gcode in there for us. Now, you're not going to see this in the simulation, but when you guys go to post it out, you guys can actually insert that code in there automatically. So you guys won't have to worry about it or possibly forgetting about it or anything like that. So if I can come in here and, you know, this is just like a regular piece of Gcode, and it's just pulling from that desktop where I saved it to. So hopefully that makes sense for everybody. Does it sound right, Greg?
Yeah, I've actually used this in the past for a serialization macro that I use for incremental counting on parts, and works out great.
Perfect. And a lot of guys will do as well is, I know at my old work on some of our machines, we didn't have a probe. And so what I would do is I would always zero off with a edge finder in my y-axis, but what I would do is I would write a short little program to call up tool number 1, which is a spot drill, and it would come down, and the spot drill would come down right next to the part, so then I could slide my part up to it to be my x-axis 0 pin, and then tighten my vise down, hit cycle start again, and the spot drill would go up, and I would just use my spot drill as kind of like a dowel. So a lot of different options there for you guys. So, and you know, as you guys are going through this, if you guys do come across something that it's like, oh, it'd be nice if we could do that, let me know, let Greg know, let us know, because 99% of the time we can do it. So, okay. One other thing I want to show you guys here is a lot of times you guys will like to go between different versions. So right now I'm running SolidCAM 2019, but let's say I want to go to SolidCAM 2018 for some reason. So what I can do is go to my add-ins, and you guys can switch back and forth between different versions of SolidCAM. So if you guys have multiple different versions in here, whatever you have installed on your computer will automatically populate right here for you. So what you guys can do is, like I said, if you guys need to switch back and forth, the best way to go about this would be uncheck your 19, hit OK, close out of SolidWorks, reopen SolidWorks, and then check your 2018, and the version 2018 would generate for you guys. Now, what I do quite a bit, and we need to be just a little bit careful on this, is actually have 2 versions of SolidCAM open at once. So what I'll do is I'll bring open up this part again right here. And now let's say I just need to do some comparing. So I want to be able to have 2 versions of SolidCAM open at the same time. I can have one part maybe I'm pulling data from, or how do I program, that kind of deal. So what you guys can do is actually open up another instance of SolidWorks. So I'll just go open up another thing of SolidWorks here. Now it's going to prompt you with a warning saying that there's basically another one already open. And this is your one that you don't want to make changes to as far as SolidCAM. And that's why I said you got to be a little bit, let me get, where'd he go here? And gotta look at all my screens here. Oh, there it goes. Okay, so now we have another instance of SolidWorks open right here. So now what I can do is the second one that you open up, just use as a reference only. Don't make any changes in there. Sometimes things, since we got 2 different PRZ files open at the exact same time, the second instance of SolidCAM, sometimes it doesn't get saved out as it should. So now I'll just do this. I'm not sure what this exercise 3 is, but we'll just open this one up. So what I can do is, so we get pulled up here. So I can look over, I don't have anything programmed over here, but I can look over here and use this as reference to go back to this part, to this part right here. So what I like to do, you know, maybe if I'm looking at one of your guys' files or whatnot, I'll have this model 1 over on a different screen and just kind of see what has changed, go through the operations, all that. Everything still works the same, but don't plan on making any changes to the second one that you have opened up. So try to keep, if you're making changes to anything, just do it to the original one that you first opened up and not the second one. And hopefully that kind of makes sense for everybody. Okay. So another big one, I'll close out of this here. Let's make sure you got everything closed on. Okay. So another big one is making a family of parts. So this is actually, oh, I'm having a brain fart. Can't think of his name right now. Freedom Manufacturing, but I can't think of his name. But it's one of his parts. And so what we can do in here is not, I mean, even if the part doesn't even look the same, but I want to still kind of use, you know, an eye machining with a transformer around the 4th axis, doing some pocketing around a 4th axis on a part, like I said, doesn't even have to look the same. The biggest thing their customers will forget about is what you guys can do is you guys can make a copy of this. So what we can do is come up here and do a save as, and I can name this as the new part. So we'll just say the new part and hit save. And what it's going to do is it's going to close down this storm cell here, and I'll just say no. And now you'll see up on top, it's labeled as the new part for us. And now what I can do is come in here and do my change model reference. So now I can browse to a completely different model or SolidWorks file and link it to there. So let me just kind of go back here. I'll just find, let me find something here for you guys. And I will just do this for right now. So you can see the part doesn't look anything like it, but I want to keep that same tool path. I want to keep my same tools. I want to keep my feeds and speeds, all that stuff I want to keep in line with it. So it's telling me that the design model is going to be replaced. Do you want to continue? And we can go ahead and hit yes. And what it will do is it will actually import in that new model that we told it to look at. And the more complex, the little bit longer it does take right here. So now you guys can see that I have my part here. All my tool path is still there. If I open up the tool path, you can see I'm still using a contour geometry. I'm still using my tool number 4. My technology wizard still set at where I told it to be at. But now the biggest thing what you guys will have to do is change out your target, your stock, and your coordinate system, and then relink all the geometry. A lot of times what you guys can do is come in here and just hit the little plus button, and I can see that my contour needs to be refound and my pocket depth needs to be refound. Now what you guys can do is, instead of actually opening up the entire operation, and let's just say our contour geometry just needs to be repicked. So all I need to do is just right click and do, maybe I can't do it with iMachine. A lot of times what you guys can do is, let me see if I can do it for this one right here. You guys can edit right inside or right outside the geometry. I'm guessing I can't because it's a transform on this one. Yep. So it's being transformed, so that's why. But a lot of times you guys can come in here and just hit the little plus button and right click and say edit geometry, and then you can just come in here and grab your geometry real quick, hit the green check mark, and then the stoplights will go away for you guys. So that is probably my #1 go-to for making my programming inside SolidCAM much faster, especially when I was at my old job using SolidCAM. So it's always kind of like when you set up something, once you got it set up, then it's done, all the hard work's done, and you can just keep making copies and copies and copies off of that. So now another big thing, let's get back to a part that's not all broken up here. Recent, I'll go back to the original. Now another big one, like I was saying, is the templates. So this is another way that you guys can go about bringing in all your tools, feeds, speeds, step downs, angle of engagements, all that stuff that you want to carry over to a new part file. So all you guys have to simply do is just highlight everything that you would like. So if you do just a single operation, that is going to be a process template. So we come in, we can do, or I'm sorry, a template. Now, if we do multiple operations, that's going to be a process template. So if I come in here, highlight everything, and I can do create a template, and I can add whatever name I want in there. Now, one thing you guys want to remember is if you guys are wanting to include the tool data, talking feed speeds, coolant options, all that stuff, don't forget to check the tool data button. So that's going to carry over all your tools and all that. So what I can do is I'll say, let's say KevCAM, hit OK. Now, if I close out of this part and go to recent parts here, and I'm just trying to find a simple one here. Turning. Yeah, well, we can do this one. I was trying to open up a exercise 3 will work. So now, like I was showing you guys before, this part didn't have any operation. So all I have to do is come up here, right click, and do add operation from process template. And of course, I'm going to the different directory now. Oh shoot, now I don't remember where I saved that template out. This is where Greg comes in like, oh no, you did it this wrong. There it is. I see it there. Okay, let's try over here. Where is my browse? And we're at 17 tables, inch, default. All right. Oh, here it is. So I can click and drag and just bring it right over to the tree. Hit OK. And now you will see all my operations are over here. So now what I can do is just come in here, refine the geometry. I don't have even an iMachine set up on this part, but just refine the geometry. Obviously on this one, I'll have to reset up my machine. So we can say a Doosan and 6061. And now I can come in here and just grab my new geometry. And like I said, it's carrying over my tool, my data, everything is being completely carried over for us inside the operation. So the only thing I really need to worry about is my geometry and my levels. I forgot that as well. So when you're grabbing new geometry, always come check your levels, just as a safety, because a lot of times when you're grabbing new geometry, it will be based off of that geometry level, and so your levels will change up on you. All right. So now I want to get over to a turning part. And let's do this guy right here. Is this all making sense for everybody, or am I going too fast, too slow?
It must be making sense because everybody's taking it easy on me. No questions in the queue here.
Either that, or I think we might have just put them to sleep too. Okay, so another one I want to show you guys that will help out your programming experience is a lot of times, especially in the turning, customers will want an angle on their boring bar. So let's see, am I using tool number 1 anywhere else? Nope. So instead of my boring or my outside turning tool coming in right at, you know, my X negative, sometimes we get it where customers would like to kick that over at an additional angle, and they have a holder that's set up for that. So it's very simple to do is come in here and come to your mounting, and then you can put your additional angle in here, and it will kick it off how it would like, or whatever you guys specify. Now, here's another area I kind of want to show is there's quite a bit going on in here. You can see I got, you know, 8 tools or 10 tools over here. I'm not sure what's going on. The screen is pretty busy right now. So what you guys can do is come over here, and we can do hide all the tools. And you can see I just got one of a light blue one down here. And if I want to get zoomed in on it, or, you know, if you guys are seeing something like this and you're not seeing your tool, come up here and just click this focus tool, and it will zoom right in on the tool for you. This actually came up the other day with a customer, and you couldn't even see his tool in there. And so by trying to zoom around, trying to find it, so this is kind of a fit to screen, as you guys are like to seeing it in SolidWorks. Now, if you guys don't want to see the entire machine that's in there, you guys can actually turn that off as well. So we can do a zoom, and like I was saying, we can do like a minus 30 degrees, and it's going to kick that tool to adapt for whatever tool holder that you're using. I know there's some angle holders out there, so you guys can just type that angle in there, and it will automatically adapt for that for you guys as well. Okay.
Now, one thing to note with that is with the additional angle, you get up to 45 degrees of rotation, I believe, before you have to switch the mounting direction.
Correct. Yep.
So if you were trying to put in something that is going to be greater than that 45, you might have to switch it to Z positive or Z negative and make that angular shift from there.
Yeah, that's a great point. And since we're in here right now, if you guys ever get it, so let's just put this back at 0 here. And let's say my insert is on the other side. There is the flip insert button right here too, to flip the insert. So if you guys are trying to, you know you're coming in from X positive, but your tool does not look like what's being previewed, definitely come check this out right here. And it may just need to be flipped as well. Okay. Now, let's see, no. Now, this comes up more on the milling side than the turning side, but since we're in a turning program, we run across this with iMachining and older machines. We can't fit all the code into the machine. So what you guys can actually do is you guys can split up your Gcode into multiple different programs. And it's very simple. All you guys have to do is, let's say I want to do a split after this one, so I can just right click and do split and say after. And what this will do is it will split up your Gcode into however many programs you'd like. So maybe this face turn is a very large program. Let's say we're talking for iMachine is where we run across it a lot. And so instead of going through and trying to butcher up the Gcode file, you guys can actually insert splits in there, and this will treat it as just one program by itself, another program by itself, and then down here would be the last portion of the program. So that way you guys don't have to go in there and, like I said, manually hack up the Gcode file. This is a much safer way just because it's all the cancellation lines are in there, the retracts are all at the right spot. So great thing to have right there. Now, I've talked about this one in the past, but you guys ever run across where you need to trig out something, or you're just looking for a simple drill tap chart? Now, for those of you guys that are using iPhones, I'm sorry, but this is available for the Android phones, is if you guys go to solidcam.com/calculator, you guys can actually download the SolidCAM app on your phone, and like I said, it does trig. You got distance between points, incremental. You can figure out arc functions. There's a lot of stuff in there. The one I use probably the most is my drill tap chart, just because pulling out a drill tap chart, especially when I'm doing on-site training with you guys, it's kind of hard to come by. So it's a great app to come, and like I said, it has Gcode cheat sheets in there for you guys. So if you guys are looking through Gcode, so this is a big one. It's free. You don't have to pay anything for it. Like I said, it is set up for the Android. I think more just because our entire team, except for a few, do not use Android, but we'll just leave it at that. Okay. Let's see. Feed control zones. So let me remove the split here, and let me remove the split here. So especially with turning, you guys can set up different feed zones for your geometry, or for your turning, or even HSS. You can do it for multiple different operations in there. So right here, it is going to be called feed points, where in like HSS, it's going to be feed control. So for on turning, what I can do is, let me just kind of get everything kind of zoomed in here. Now you guys will see I got my tool preview on. If you guys ever don't want, or if you said that wrong, if you guys don't want that to be shown, you guys can just click that button right there and it will go away for you. So what I can do now is I can tell it to go to this point right here. Oh, you got to click in there. So from here, why am I not going in there? Select. Okay, sorry. Just do delete all, start over here. Okay, so let's say as I'm coming into this corner right here, I want it to slow down a little bit. So I can do a feed point there and a feed point here. And then I can do a feed point to the end, or I can come in here and slow down for this corner right here and then end off there. So now what it's doing is from my my first point to the second point, I'm feeding at 0.05, but maybe from the second point to my third point, I want to slow down. So I can come in here and change these values and slow down the feed rate for those corners or sharp corners, or maybe your machine can't compute all that data with a very high feed rate, and sometimes we'll overshoot. This is a great place to come in there and to slow down for corners. Now, if I hop out of here real quick, let's open up a milling part. So in our milling part, let me get rid of this insert Gcode. Yes. Do a HSS. And if we go, we have our feed control right here. And if I go ahead and grab just a tool real quick, hit the green check mark. Now what I can do is I can control a feed zone by a surface area. You can do a feed rate optimization. So if it's doing around a arc, I can set the feed rate to go down by 10% or go up by 10%. So if we're going on flat, I can do it at 100%. And if we're starting doing a larger radius, I can go a little bit faster, and a smaller radius, I can slow it down. So a lot of different feed control options in here for you guys, and really to get that exact finish that you guys are trying to achieve. Now, not every single operation has it. If we do, I can't remember all the operations that have it. Let me just do, nope, nothing there. It's gonna be more of your all the turny ones for you guys, but I know HSS and Greg, HSM has it as well. Exit, yes. Add milling, we'll try.
I haven't really seen it in HSM, but
Okay.
I'm not in that module that much. HSS is where I primarily use it.
And yeah, that's the same here. I think that's it, is just going to be HSS. I could have sworn I've seen it somewhere else, but I could be wrong. So there is that option there for you guys to set up feed zones. So, and the only reason I bring this up is, you know, we got to call every once in a while that they want to slow down for a certain area, kind of like with the turning, and then they want it to feed up again in a different area as well. So instead of breaking that up into multiple different operations and having multiple different operations with different feed rates, you guys can do it all in one operation, keeping your tree kind of cleaned up and then the tool path that you're trying to achieve right there. Now, this one actually came up today for me, and what's happening is, let me play this through here, do a simulate and a solid verify, and I'll just kind of bump this up a little bit. So if you watch, right now we are doing the transform contour 2, but as I keep going through here, you'll actually see it once it finishes it. See it now, it just jumped down to my contour 2-2. So it's basically doing like a spring pass. Well, what the customer wanted in this particular scenario is he wanted to do all the windows first and then come back and do the spring pass, because what was happening is the burr, as he was machining out this window, was getting rolled over. So, and this is all kind of set up in your post processor, but what you guys can do to eliminate, if you guys want to kind of keep these separate, you guys can change that out in the VMID file. And by default, I think, or I'm pretty sure by default, it is set to optimize the tool. So the post processor is looking, saying, all right, we're using tool number 4 and we're using tool number 4. So what I'm going to try to do is optimize the rotary axis for you and do all of this one and then all of this one, then rotate to the next. But like I said, if you guys want to keep them separate, what you guys can do is come over to your VMID file, click on working style and procedures, and second from, excuse me, the bottom right here, the optimize operations loop is set to yes. So if I turn this to no, what it will do is it will actually break those. So it will do all of this one first, and then it will come over to this one right here and do that one as well. So trying to think what else. Versions, running to SolidCAM, tool mounting, calculator, splits, feed control zones. Yeah, so that's a lot. That's as much as I could think of for you guys to really make the programming faster for you guys. I guess main highlights for tonight's night class is doing the save as is a huge one, and changing your model reference. And the next biggest one that I use constantly is my templates, and not only just a single template, but also doing process templates as well. Now, for those of you guys that are new, you guys can actually drag this right up onto a surface, and it will automatically attach it to that surface for you. And you'll see that it added it right down here for us, and added a coordinate system for us as well. So you guys don't have to come up here, right click, and do add operation from template or process template. You guys do have it sitting over here. So create as many templates as you possibly, as you're going through your programming. But one thing that I've kind of gotten burned by is put as much detail in here as possible, because right here I don't have very many templates in this location, but if I open up a different location, I got probably 65 different templates in there. So after you get that many in there, it definitely helps to have more detail, because you'll look at it and be like, ooh, default profile, I don't quite remember what that is. So instead of guessing, just add that in there for the detail. One other thing I want to do for you, or show you, or help you guys out, is if you guys have a tool library that has, or if you have a machine that has dedicated tooling, so the tooling never comes out of the machine. You know, a lot of guys will set up tool 1 through 10, and it's going to be their common tools that they constantly use. Create a library of those tools in that dedicated tooling. So what I mean by that is, if we do tool library, and we will create library, say milling, and we'll just say KevCAM to make it easy. And I can link it to the machine. Let's see if I can find Jordy's part here. G-milling, 4-axis. There we go. We can hit OK. And now I can create all that dedicated tool in there. I'll just throw one tool in there for right now. I'll just do save and exit. And once you guys have that set up, you guys can go into your VMID file and go to the working style. And this one, I got to remember where it is. Compensation, Gcode file name, Greg, optimize. It's in here, I promise, guys. You guys can actually set up the default tool table. I just got to find it here.
You're talking about setting up that default tool table?
Yep.
It's under working style, under the main working style heading.
Oh. And where is it?
Machine's tool table name.
There it is. So I can do is set up as KevCAM. So what this will do for you guys is, every time you guys grab that post processor and say new milling, say no for right now. So as we're in this stage right here, setting up our part, so as soon as we grab that post, we grab our coordinate system, grab our stock and target, and as soon as we hit the green check mark in here, what it's going to do is it's automatically going to import all that dedicated tools into your tool library for you guys. So everything will be there for you. That is one thing that I used to use a lot, just because all the different machines, we had dedicated tooling, and it would already be set up in there for me, and I wouldn't have to import tools in from a different tool library or so on. So that is about it. Hopefully I didn't put anybody too far to sleep and got something out of it. But Greg, do you have any tips or
No, no, just reinforce using templates, because those can definitely speed things up. I know you covered it quite a bit, but that truly is a great way of adding toolpath in a hurry.
Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, if there's one thing like I can say is stress two things is templates and doing a save as, because that is going to save you guys a ton of time, especially if you guys are doing a lot of programming of parts. And so that's going to be definitely a huge time saver. Any questions, guys? I know I kind of covered a lot, but yep, we're back, Greg. Greg was saying it's good to have us back. So yeah, and I apologize. We were doing SolidCAM World and a whole bunch of stuff going on there. So now going forward, it is going to be, let me just pull up the schedule for you guys. So so we're going to be off for a week for 4th of July. And then July 9th, we are going to be doing Cartesian versus Polar on the coordinate system. So this was another customer suggestion. And then how to get better toolpath on 3D parts more than anything. Now after that, well, Greg's on site right now doing training, but I also have to do some on-site training quite a bit in July and August. So there's gonna be some weeks that we're not gonna be able to have a night class just because we'll be traveling, but kind of brings up a good point. If you guys ever want us to come on site and do on-site training, definitely let us know, because between Greg and I, we love traveling and love to come out and visit you guys at your guys' shop and teach you something new. So. All right, well, that is all I have for tonight. And any questions or concerns come up along the way, shoot me an email or give us a call on the support line and let us know what we can do to help you guys out. All right, guys, have a great evening. Bye-bye.
Good evening.